to start, would you mind doing a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Amanda. I am a 22-year-old content creator from Montreal, Canada. I go to school full time at Concordia University studying communication studies. I do YouTube, Instagram blogging. I have a podcast. I own two businesses, and I do video editing. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Yeah, you got like a lot going on there. I
Yeah.
guess to start off with like your college slash uni, like why did you choose Concordia and how did you decide on like studying communications?
So it's kind of a funny story. So at first I wanted to do school fully online, but I didn't do any research. And then I realized it
Okay.
was like 3 to 4 times more expensive than going to like school in
Oh,
person. So
really?
I was like, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 20K a semester versus like in-person school
No.
here is like 1.5K. So it was a lot more.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to school like in person. I missed the deadline to apply. So I applied in another program called Women's Studies and I hated it. So then I was like,
Okay.
let me think about what I want to do in my future. And communications kind of aligned with it. And Concordia is actually the only English university in Montreal that offers communication. So it was kind of my only choice.
Okay, yeah. Right, makes sense. Yeah, so because you were like grew up in Montreal as well, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, did you not ever want to move out or were you just like happy to stay?
Yeah, so I know like a lot of people move away for like university and stuff, but it's not actually something that's very common here, or at least like within like
Oh, okay.
everyone I went to high school with and stuff. Yeah, it's different. So I
Yeah.
never actually thought about it, but I do like want to do things that aren't in Montreal, but for school, like it never really crossed my mind.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess if you're from a city, then it kind of makes sense to stay. Like if you're in a small
Yeah.
town, then obviously you have to move. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like how did you find making friends? Because I know like being in the same city, it's kind of hard. Everyone stays with their high school friends and they're not as like
Hmm.
open, I guess.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard, especially like now in this environment with online
Yeah.
school. It's like, how do you make friends with someone over Zoom? Like, you really don't. But when I was in person, I did know like a select few people in my classes. So then they would introduce me to the people that they knew. So it's kind of like I made friends through friends, but I'm not like the type to go up to someone and talk to them. I'm too shy for that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and how like do you want to talk a bit more about your businesses? Like what exactly do you do for them?
Yeah, for sure. So I have two businesses. One is called Cookie Apparel, which is an apparel company, and one is called Wand Candles, which is a candle company. Cookie Apparel, I initially started about like 4 or 5 years ago, and then I ended after 1 year, and then I restarted it. I think last February. And then my candle company, I started in August.
Okay, cool. And I mean, I guess besides the obvious, like making money, what made you want to start your own business?
So I've always like wanted to work for myself. Like that's my biggest goal in the future. Right now I do have a part-time job, so I don't work fully
Yeah.
for myself. But I've always had like a creative aspect, and I don't really know like what made me want to start anything by myself, but I know that it was probably because I do want to work for myself in the future. I started the apparel company because I wanted to represent myself with clothing. So I made like I had someone make 5 different logos for me and I sell it through there. And then the candle company, I'm literally obsessed with candles. Like I have way too many in my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think it'd be cool to make my own and sell them. So I've been doing that too.
Cool, cool. Like I'm sure there's been some challenges. So yeah, what's the hardest thing do you think about having your own business?
I think time management is a big thing. I don't know why I didn't think it was gonna take so much time out of my day and everything. But being like a full-time student, working a part-time job and doing other things, it does take a lot of time management skills, which I wasn't the best at the beginning. And also at the beginning, like I said before, how I stopped my company after like 1 year was because I didn't do my research. And that's something that's very important. So anyone that might be listening right
Yeah.
now, or even you, if you want to start your own business, like doing your research is, I think, like the most important part, because if you don't do that at one point or another, something's gonna downfall and then it kind of affects everything.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I guess going into your YouTube, like what made you want to start doing YouTube?
So I started YouTube. So also YouTube, I had a different channel
Yeah.
at first. I started when I was like 13, 14. More so like I used to watch YouTube every single day. and I like fell in love with like different creators. Like I used to watch like Andrea Russet. I don't know if you know like what was her name? Like Bethany Moda, like all those people. I used to watch all them. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I think I can do it. And I kind of like started using like YouTube as like kind of an escape for like my reality and stuff. I didn't really enjoy high school and it wasn't like my favorite part of my like favorite years of my life.
Yeah.
So I kind of used YouTube as an escape. And I was also like really creative. So I thought it'd be like a fun way to use my time. But then people in high school found it and then they started making fun of me for it. So then I stopped it because I
Oh,
was like, I don't have time for that.
yeah.
And then I restarted it. So we have something called CEGEP in Montreal. I don't know if you know what that is, but we don't have like grade
No.
12 here. Yeah, we don't have grade 12. So we
Oh,
go
okay.
from like grade 11 to CEGEP. It's like a 2-year thing and then we go to university.
Okay.
So I restarted it in CEGEP, and in CEGEP it was more so like I kind of wanted to like share my views and my life and everything. That's why I started it.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, and how do you get video ideas? Like how do you come up with what to
Yeah,
make?
it's really hard because you also don't want to be like copying everyone else that's on the
Yeah.
internet because then it's not fun content. But I do like get a lot of inspiration from different creators and then I try and make it my own. But I also have like a whole book that I write like any idea that comes to mind. And then if I'm completely blank and like don't know what to film, I'll go back to that book and like pick something. But yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from creators like Julia Chris, Natalie Barbu, Brooke Michio. They have like really good content. So I feel like when I'm watching other people's contents, ideas will pop in my head. That's how I kind of figure it out.
Right, cool. I know something that I kind of struggle with is like always comparing yourself and like not feeling like you have enough views or subscribers. So yeah, I don't know. Is that
Mhm.
something that you struggle with and how do you kind of combat that?
Yeah, it's something that I struggle with a lot. I always tell myself, like, don't focus on the numbers because it'll come eventually.
Yeah.
And if you focus on it too much, you won't even see like the small growth that you get. So I kind of remind myself that like every growth is a growth. And I try to also not compare myself because some people have been on YouTube for like 10 to 15 years. I don't know, 15, but at
Yeah.
least 10 years.
And
And they've like only started like blowing up like recently, and I've only been on YouTube for like 3 years, so I have to remind myself that like people have been doing it longer than me. And also like at the beginning of every month I write down like the goals that I have, and then I write down like my beginning stats, and then at the end of the month I'll see if I reach any of the goals, and even if I don't, at least I can see like where I started and where I got to. So that's like a way that I keep myself motivated and try not to like solely focus on the numbers and everything.
cool. Yeah. I know you also have a podcast, so do you want to talk about that? Like what made you want to do that and what's it all about?
Yeah, so my podcast is called Behind the Girl Boss. Initially, I wanted to start a second YouTube channel that's all about like business, social media, and everything. And then I was like, you barely have time to record videos for like your main channel. Like,
Yeah,
you're
right.
not gonna have time to like have a whole second channel. So then I was like, podcasting is there wasn't too many people doing it at the time when I started. So I was like, oh, this is like a cute little community. So I decided to do it on like as a podcast version instead because it's much easier to edit just audio rather than like audio, video, and everything.
Right, yeah.
So my podcast is like a business lifestyle podcast. There's a lot more interviews than just me talking. So I love to like talk to people that either own their own businesses, do YouTube, do podcasting, or like anything that's like creative business venture. And yeah, I've been doing it for over a year now, and it's really fun. I've met so many cool people through doing that, and I've interviewed people that I never actually thought would even know like I exist. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like I know you have episodes with Natalie Barbu and like Remy who I
Yeah.
like I don't know, I swear I watched her videos like when I was like 10 years old. So yeah, like
Same.
do you ever get nervous like talking to, I mean they're pretty much like kind of like famous, right? Like
Yeah, I get nervous for every single interview. I have like really bad like social anxiety, so I get nervous like no matter who it is, like whether they're
yeah.
big or small, but especially when they're bigger, especially like because like most of them I also watch like every single week when they post the video and stuff. So it's just like weird to like be actually talking to them, and like you always want them to like you and like think good of you because you never know if your paths can cross again. Yeah, so I always get nervous. It's something that I haven't learned to control yet, but
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. And how do you kind of approach them? Like do you just email them, like DM? How do you contact people?
99% of the time I will email them because I just feel like it looks like more professional
Yeah.
if you email them. And sometimes like especially if they're big, like you don't know how many DMs or like tweets or whatever they're getting. But like, for example, for Remy, I tweeted, I was like at Remy. No, wait, what did I tweet? I tweeted something like manifesting having Remy Ashton on my podcast one day.
Okay.
And then I went to bed and I woke up and I saw she followed me and I was like, oh my God. And then after
Yeah.
I went on Twitter and I saw she DM'd me and she was like, I'd love to be on her podcast. And I was like I didn't think she'd actually like see it. So I think having like a mix of both, like emailing or even like trying to contact them on social medias. But a big thing that I also realized for like bigger creators is that they only have their manager email, and like their managers sometimes are a little bit picky. Like I've had one YouTuber that I reached out to and her manager basically told me like, we'll get back to you when you're bigger. So like
Oh,
those are
really?
kind of
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, those are kind of
That's quite
discouraging,
rude.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I would have rather like no answer than that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you can tell, like, if it's like at gmail.com, then it's like their own email. They'll be
Mm-hmm.
checking it. But if it's like some company, then I usually won't try because I know that's probably
Yeah.
not gonna work out.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah, and how do you like prepare? Like, do you brainstorm ideas or do you write questions beforehand?
Yeah, so I get like I said, I get really nervous, so I
Yeah.
feel like I would blank out if I just tried to like go with the flow. So what I do is I write like main questions, and then after, once we're like talking and stuff, if I have any follow-up questions, I'll ask them. But I feel like having questions out kind of like makes it easier for me to have a flow with everything and not like be sitting there and be completely blank. So yeah, I write like questions out and I separate it into sections for the person.
Oh, okay. So you literally like write the exact thing you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Sometimes
that's
it doesn't come out
interesting.
with how I wrote it, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of just brainstorm topics, but sometimes it's hard.
Hmm.
Like, do you ever, you don't have to name their name, but has there ever been a guest where like you feel like the conversation's not flowing and like how do you, like, what do you do if that happens?
Yeah, I've had like only one be like that. It was a really awkward
Yeah.
conversation, and it was also like someone that was a little bit like of a bigger creator.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it was kind of like a little discouraging. It was like, it was more so like she would answer like questions in like one sentence and like that's it.
Yeah,
Like she
yeah.
wouldn't elaborate. So it was kind of like awkward, and like I didn't know how to ask a follow-up question when like I didn't really get an answer. So it's a little discouraging with that, but honestly, I didn't know what to do. So
Yeah.
I kind of just like kept asking the question. So that one sounded more like interview than conversation like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard, especially because like you don't want to be like rude to the other person and be like, hi, can you like answer better? But
Right.
yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, I guess maybe if they're like bigger, maybe they've done so many, they're like
Hmm.
constantly getting the same questions, so they're kind of just over it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Do you also kind of want to talk about sponsorships? Like, have you ever worked with any brands or do you ever reach out for any partnerships?
Yeah, so I've actually had a couple of paid sponsorships. A lot of people shy away from reaching out to brands themselves because like, I mean, I used to think like this brand's never gonna answer me, like I'm like
Yeah,
literally the most
right.
random person ever. But like it's really important because
Yeah.
even though they might not know you, sometimes they'll want to get to know you. And I think like it's really important to pitch and sell yourself really well, and like they'll want to work with you. The most important thing I suggest is like in your email that you reach out to them, like you start off by saying like who you are, and then follow up with like talking about why you like the brand, because like you can make it more
Okay.
personable and not kind of like copy paste. And then after that, like let them know like a little like sneak peek or like idea of what you think you guys can work or like do together. And then that's how I kind of like pitch them. And I would add a media kit in it because it just helps them visualize everything.
Okay. That sounds pretty professional. But I feel like studying communications probably helps with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
helps
like
me with that.
do you have a major or is it just like communications general?
Yeah, so my major is communications. I didn't do a minor.
Ah, okay, I see. Because I know here
Yeah.
we have a degree that's like Bachelor of Communications, and then you can major in like public relations or like TV production and stuff like
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, ours is just like communications.
that. Okay, cool. So I know you've also kind of talked about being vegetarian. Are you still vegetarian
Hmm.
or?
I used to like not eat meat or fish for like 3.5 years. And then I never like substituted anything properly. So then I was like, I don't really know what I was missing, but my doctor told me I was missing things. Like I
Yeah.
think iron and like protein and all those things. So then she was like, you can either eat fish like once a week or take like those fish pills every single day. And I was like, those
Mm.
pills are really like they're gigantic, first of all, and they taste bad.
Like the
So
omega
then
3 thing.
I like Yeah. So then I just started eating fish again. So basically I'm pescatarian now.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, is your family vegetarian or is it just
It's just
you?
me.
Okay. So do you have to like cook your own food and stuff like that, or?
So my mom's nice and she makes me food. But sometimes like I obviously will make my food sometimes, but she like for dinner she usually like wants to make me food. So
Okay,
I'm
that's
lucky in
cool.
that. Yeah.
No, I only ask because like I've been vegan for like 4 years, so
Oh, okay.
um
So cool.
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I try and like I hesitate to tell people because I feel like they just judge you and they just ask
Yeah.
you like constantly the same stuff.
Yeah, like a lot of people always tell me like just by you like not eating meat like is not going to change anything. I'm like, okay, but at least I know that I'm not
Yeah.
eating it. So
I guess finally, I asked a lot of people this, like in terms of your own city, like do you have any favorite places in Montreal or things you'd recommend people do?
recommend to check out the old port. It's really pretty and it kind of gives me like Europe vibes, even though I've never been to Europe, but I think it just reminds me of that. And I would definitely check out like the plateau or the Mile End. It's really pretty. I would suggest not coming here in winter if you're from somewhere that's hot because it's really
Oh,
cold and not like
yeah.
as nice as it looks in pictures. But yeah, those are the places I'd suggest checking out.
Cool, awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. I know you've got a ton of stuff going on. So yeah, I'll probably just let you get back to it. By the way, like if you ever need a podcast guest, like I'm more than happy to
Yes,
be a
for
part of
sure.
it.
Awesome. Yes.
But yeah, I'll leave your links down below so everyone can follow you, check out your stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, thanks for
Um,
having me.
no worries. See you later.